If this works, I'm a sticky genius. We're live.
Are we live?
Yes.
Still don't see it.
Just look.
Yeah, I got the notification.
Yeah.
I got a notification.
So
too.
you have
We're
to
live.
you have to turn it on the stream thing, and then you have to hit go live on Facebook because I already said go live somewhere else. What the F?
So we are live. So how about I hit the I'm gonna mute us
Hi!
and I'm gonna hit the audio. Hi everybody. Welcome to 3 Count Thursday.
Technology's great.
Yay.
The World Wrestling Federation. For over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
Oh, it's live, pal.
We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Everybody 3 count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Or maybe The Rock has got to beat Triple H himself, which means he's got to beat the game in the middle of the ring. And he has a $2 for a wife.
You're too damn selfish, and that's why you're sitting there with a bad leg, and that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg.
You guys talk about being students of the game. I am the game, JR.
3 ain't enough now. I need 5. Welcome in Jim, Ryan, Matt, Tim, and intern Mark.
Oh my goodness, what do we do?
There's a 1. There's a 2.
Oh,
wow. So make no mistake about it. This is an official declaration of war.
This is what you call a paradigm shift.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to 3CountThursday.com. A little bit late, but we're here. We figured it out. Tim is a technical genius, and we're not even in the same room, and we can figure these things out. It's amazing. It is amazing. Welcome, everyone. It is August the 13th, 2020. We are glad to be with you. And if you are following along in the live video, give it a like, give it a share. Since now that we know we're actually with you guys, we'd appreciate that. And welcome in. We are the podcast of the millennium. We have tons to talk about this week, including who is the King of Kings and Ask Us Anything. But first, make sure you go to 3CountThursday.com for all things 3 Count related, as well as you can find our social media links, our merchandise at whatamaneuver.net.
What a maneuver.
Thank you, Tim. Our Patreon page at patreon.com/3CountThursday. Our home network, of course, NGSC Sports, and we stream daily at leebsports.com. Ryan's not here to say it. It is leeibsports.com. Yeah, apparently we really did anger Ryan last week with giving him the fandom of Cameron, because he just straight up didn't show this week. But obviously we want to start this week with some sad news. This past Sunday, of course, James Kamala Harris passed away. He wrestled over 5 different decades. He wrestled in 5 different decades all over the world. A couple of highlights: he was the USWA Unified World Heavyweight Champion 4 times. The AWA Southern Heavyweight Champion. He also was inducted into the Texas Wrestling Hall of Fame. class of 2012. He was ranked number 144 out of 500 best singles wrestlers in the PWI years back in 2003. So again, rest in peace, Kamala. Guys, is there a feud or a match memory of Kamala that sticks out in your head? I think for me, it's probably the feud with the Undertaker. The fear of the casket and all of that, and also, I think once he was post retirement, there he was on, I think, Steve Austin's podcast. I know he was on Roddy Piper's podcast, and he just absolutely, I personally never met him, but he absolutely just seemed like such a genuinely nice person. And hearing him tell stories is something that I will remember as well. But Tim, since you were the master IT guy this evening, is there a Kamala memory feud that sticks out to you?
Can you not tell my roommates that I fixed the stream?
Oh, I will.
Because
Your secret's safe with me.
Everyone here in our group chat calls me Mr. Fix-It, because if anything goes sideways, it's usually me to fix it. And then I just fix this. So I don't want to be Mr. Fix-It. To answer your question, I'm actually going to pick like a not so great time for Kamala.
Okay.
Which was his time in WCW, as he was like a Hogan crony.
Okay.
Coming in as a part of the alliance to end Hulkamania. And I think Kamala was a part of that 2-on-13 triple tier cage deal. If not, he was definitely loosely related. If Charlie's in the chat, he can fact check me. He's a WCW head too. But yeah, Kamala as just like a C-level villain in WCW, just kind of getting through the end of everything. It's not like obviously my fondest memory is the Undertaker feud, but seeing him in WCW too as kind of like a member of the Dungeon of Doom was pretty slick.
Matt, how about you?
Aside from the whole Undertaker thing, I think the main thing that stood out for me was the gimmick battle royal from 17. Just because that was just, one of those so bad it's type things. So his involvement in that was kind of the only other thing that really stuck out to me as like his most memorable things for me. And I did want to throw this out there. Ryan did message me earlier today, and he said that he was actually glad that the Chronic theme didn't make it much further than it did in the whole tournament. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that as well. That Ryan Miller stated earlier that the Chronic theme is overrated.
So the whole Chronic, that was just a gimmick.
Have an angle for him. Yeah.
Oh man, that's embarrassing when when you are portraying yourself but as like a gimmick. That's just embarrassing. That is just sad. Mark, any and for the record, Tim, I did check the feed. The audio sounds good, so I think we're cooking with gas tonight. Intern Mark, any particular Kamala memories that stick out to you?
I'll tell you what, probably my most favorite memory is when Kamala was facing Hogan when Hogan was the champion. That was really exciting because, Kamala had such a great gimmick. I don't think today you get away with such a gimmick, but, the fact they acted like he didn't speak English and, he was just a complete savage. I thought it was incredible. And of course, the Undertaker feud was really good. And probably personally, one of my most favorite moments was at a show, a TV taping. I think it was in '92, right after SummerSlam, when Flair took the title from Savage, They taped that all up in Hershey. The main event was Ultimate Warrior against Kamala, and that match lasted maybe 30 seconds because it was like a minute before midnight, and the show must have ran long.
Was that
and everybody just
the
wanted to leave.
marathon taping,
And,
Mark? Where
yeah,
it started
went-
at first bell was at like 7 and it went till after midnight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was there.
It went at least 5 hours.
Because they taped like Wrestling
was,
Challenge and All American and Superstars all together, and because they did like the drop down
sure did.
banner, even if it was the same two wrestlers, you had to run the match. So I think Big Boss Man wrestled Nails that night like 4 different times to tell you how good that night was.
Yep.
Yeah, I was there. I was there.
Undertaker
It was
there that
great
night.
as a 7-year-old, 6-year-old. That was a great night.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it really was. It was a great show. Looking back, I mean, it was fantastic. Savage Razor Ramon really got introduced on that show. Max Moon was there. I remember seeing him come out with that jetpack thing on.
Yeah,
that was pretty neat. But the
but yeah,
seeing Kamala and the Warrior, even though the match sucked, it was still pretty neat.
Yeah, Kamala was one, and it was obviously a different time, both in wrestling and in the world in general. But just a great wrestling character, and by all accounts, Nikki says the Undertaker feud sticks out to her. Lou says that he met him one time in New Jersey, was the nicest wrestler he ever met. He said, funny story, Vader was on the same card and was the nastiest wrestler he's ever paid to have his picture with. So yeah, I think we've all had I think everybody's had a Vader experience, I'm pretty sure. But Kamala, again, James Harris passing away last Sunday at the age of 70.
And it is fun to mention as well that Kamala is actually a brainchild of Jerry the King Lawler.
Oh, from Memphis?
Mm-hmm. Jerry Lawler gave Kamala the actual Kamala gimmick.
Gotcha.
Because before he was Sugarfoot Harris. And then they were like, "Oh, we're repackaging you. We're making you a Savage," and Kamala just ran from there. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think I remember. I recently, I think it was when it was on FS1 the other week, watching back SummerSlam '92, and the commentary during the Kamala match would certainly not fly in 2020.
There's a lot of things that wouldn't fly.
Well, yeah, no doubt. But yeah, just it was a wrestling character that I will always remember. What manager was Kimchi, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And yeah, like I said, if you have never checked out any of the different podcasts that he was a guest on, like I said, I know he was on Austin's, I know he was on Piper's. The audio is still up there. They're great listens. The guy was an absolute just sound like a really, really neat guy. So our thoughts are with him, with his family and friends, of course. So moving on to our weekly recurring segment, we look at August the 13th in wrestling history. Only one birthday today. That is Spike Dudley, was born in 1970. And then in 1944, Lou Thez becomes the first 2-time Texas heavyweight champion, defeating Ernie Dusek in Houston, Texas. 1962, during a title defense against Bobo Brazil in Newark, New Jersey, NWA World Heavyweight Champion Buddy Rogers claimed he had a groin injury. The match was stopped. Brazil was declared the winner, but he refused to accept the victory. It was then announced on September 6th that Bobo Brazil was the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion after a doctor found nothing wrong with Rogers. Rogers then won the title back from Brazil on October 30th in Toledo, Ohio, but this title change is not recognized by the NWA. Jumping way ahead, 1996, WWF held the 9th annual SummerSlam pay-per-view in the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. The show got a .58 buy rate. The show was headlined by Mankind defeating The Undertaker in the Boiler Room Brawl, of course, after Paul Bearer turned on The Undertaker. hit him in the head with the urn and giving it to Mankind. The winner was determined to be the first to take possession of the urn. And then the main event of the night, WWF champion Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario defeated Vader with Jim Cornette to retain the title. Vader had originally won the match twice, first by countout, then by DQ. But because titles can only change hands by pin or submission, Cornette demanded the match restart both times. WWF President Gorilla Monsoon allowed this with Michaels' agreement. And then finally, Bruce Springsteen's The Wrestler was nominated for Best Original Song for the World Soundtrack Awards in 2009. So that was for August the 13th in professional wrestling. Well, Tim, we are down to the final four in our bracket. It has been a fun journey. So why don't we recap and let people know the where the matchups are, and I'll post the link to the comments here so people, if they have not voted, can do that.
It is the final four of the 3 Count Thursday greatest wrestling theme song of all time tournament. Looks like a final four of the greatest WWE superstar of all time tournament.
Yeah.
If you go to you go to tinyurl.com/3CT Final Four. Those are always the number and never the word. You'll see that at the top of the bracket, Metalingus reigns supreme, and it will be going head to head with Sexy Boy. And on the bottom half of the bracket, it is the other two number 1 seeds, as Stone Cold Steve Austin's I Won't Do What You Tell Me takes on Real American. You really cannot go wrong with any. Well, you can go wrong with one of these four
I was going to
themes.
say, I think one of them you could.
Yeah, one of them should not have made it this far. But it's up to you people. You, the 3 Count Thursday listening audience, the viewing audience. Be sure to get your votes in. We are tallying the votes. Polling is done tomorrow at midnight. The polls will reopen on Monday, and I think we should do a live announcement on Thursday of the actual winner.
Going live.
So it's going to be a shorter window next
week.
Actually, if you guys are really nice, I could turn around the brackets. We can post them on Saturday.
Ooh.
And give you guys an extra 2 days of voting.
Mamma mia!
But I swear to God, if I do this and none of y'all vote,
you better vote Saturday or Sunday.
I'm never doing this again. You guys need to help me. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Get in here. Vote on the polls. And so we can actually get a legit winner. Because if not, it's just the 5 of us. And you don't want to leave this in our hands, do you?
No. I mean, you definitely don't want to leave it in my hands. I'm an idiot.
Like, you can't.
How did Shawn Michaels get this far? Like, look, I understand he's Mr. WrestleMania. I understand he's arguably the best in-ring performer of all time.
Not arguably.
Arguably. But for
sports entertainer.
Okay,
Sports
arguably best sport. I mean, I guess if Ric Flair like dubs you as the best superstar, you can be the best superstar. But how the hell did he get? How did he get here? There were so many better themes in that bracket.
If I can defend it,
okay, try.
There's few themes more. I won't say it's a good theme, but it's iconic. Like, yes, iconic pose. like you get a very strong reaction at the beginning of the theme with the drum beats and the oh Sean. It's very catchy at first. It announces who everyone is, and that's what's really strong about like these 4 themes. Very strong beginnings. Immediate, it's glass shattered. It's the Rick Derringer guitar riff. It's the sexy boy drums, and it's you think you know me.
That's true.
So each of them draw you in immediately and get you just completely out of control, hype beyond belief.
I mean, that's a good point. That part of it is inarguable.
Right. And so I think that there's a lot of thought or maybe a lot of thought was put in as to what makes a good theme and not necessarily what is the better song. I don't think many people, I don't want to pigeonhole our audience, but I dare say few of them studied music theory at all.
I mean, I did not.
I did
not.
I actually did.
I'm a drummer. I've taken music classes. I don't think I ever studied music theory.
Music theory. It was like 10th grade. I don't remember anything. Don't ask.
I know there was a music theory class at college when I was there, but it sounded too hard. So I went, no thanks.
Are you good at math?
Relatively speaking.
Then kinda. Because you gotta you gotta know your major and minor chords and your dissonances and things like that.
It seemed like a lot of work at the time. It just,
and because you're a drummer, so literally drummers for you, like you get like triplets and sixteenths and
we get all those silly
you
things.
get that, but like pitch, like unless you're playing the timpani with the pedal.
No, I was, or
if you get put on the xylophone.
I'm a meathead with a couple of sticks. It wasn't. I hit things hard. Things make noise, sort of things.
Clangety bangety clang.
Yeah.
As long as you drum better than Lars Ulrich.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of people with no arms that probably could do that.
Hey, Lars, top 5 drummer of all time. Longevity.
Lars Ulrich is the #1 drummer for Metallica of all time.
Yes, without
question, he's the #1 drummer for Metallica of all time. But yeah, otherwise, like I don't want to give prediction. I don't want to sway the audience. But at this point, again, it's 2020. I would not be shocked to see things go haywire in this bracket.
I
but
would
it's
not be
fun.
shocked if somehow Chronic does a run in and pays Shawn Michaels back for the Rockers knocking them out and just like Tanya Harding, Shawn Michaels on the way to the ring, Tink.
My wife asked me earlier today if we were going to talk about Dominic Mysterio getting the Everleuven shit beat out of him
without question.
Which we will. I said, I don't know. I said, because we don't always talk about like current stuff. We talk more like discussion topics. And she just out of the blue goes like the best entrance theme ever. And I went, well, funny you should say that. And then she goes, well, where's John Cena's theme? I'm like, I don't even think he made the list, did he?
Basic Thugonomics made it.
Thugonomics made the list. Because like she used to get really mad when Big Match John would open up Raw every Monday while she was frantically trying to get away from the wrestling TV. And she would hear the song, and then the next day, that song was stuck in my head for like an hour. I couldn't fall asleep, and I'm like, "You probably should have stayed watching wrestling then."
The horns, is so captivating as like a device for Cena. But
I mean, you hear that and you know what it is. You know what's up.
So I did we're still talking about theme songs. Look,
sure.
We were already running late. Let us freestyle tonight. All right.
Yeah, there's no format tonight. Really.
Sheets out the window. But I actually, I remember a long time ago, WWE did a video about the origins of John Cena's theme. The horns are sampled from, I believe, a cover of Midnight Train to Georgia.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit. I would have never.
The horns. The horns is a sample. I gotta remember if I'm right or not. But
shit.
I think that the John Cena Midnight Train Georgia.
So I mean, we're obviously we're counting down to the greatest. While you're looking at it, is there a theme that sticks out to you as the worst?
Sorry, wrong Georgia song. It's a motif of a cover of The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia.
Okay. I was gonna say that the Midnight Train to Georgia did not sound right.
Yep, it's The Night that the Lights Went Out in Georgia.
Okay. Either way, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
What was your question?
Is there a theme that sticks out in your head that is the worst ever?
That isn't like a joke theme, like Isaac Yankem DDS or TL Hopper.
Like, does Right to Censor count as a joke theme?
I mean, yeah, because that's just a siren.
Okay, then I would have to rethink mine.
I think Jimmy, my best friend Marcus is gonna hate me if he figures out that this is on the record. But Jimmy Wang Yang's theme, Gonna Punch You in the Face Tonight, is actually a really bad song.
Huh.
Oh, Repo Man!
Oh, Lou! Boo this man!
Repo.
I love Repo Man theme.
You don't blaspheme the good name of Barry Darso in this house.
Man,
Smash, Mr. Hole in One.
I'll
Blacktop Bully.
Going off the top of my head, like something like Skinner, either Skinner's themes.
Alligator.
We're not good. Matt, Mark, do you have any of them? We don't have to necessarily, deep thought on this one. And maybe that'll be our next bracket: is worst theme ever.
Worst themes.
Oh, that'd be fun. Sergeant Slaughter had a terrible theme.
The heel theme.
The snare drum.
The heel theme.
Oh,
I couldn't stand that. Oh, it was awful. The Red Rooster was pretty bad too.
Who's?
Well, I it was so bad it was good. The Red Rooster with the rooster crowing at the beginning.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
Basically anything from like
I think today's his birthday.
92 probably could fall into this.
Gosh, it's not a bad theme. It's not a bad theme, but I've had it stuck on the brain for a while. Does anyone remember Maven's theme?
Oh, the original Tough Enough theme.
Yes.
That song's a fucking banger.
Yes. Like,
I love that
low
song.
Key a banger. Like,
oh, Nikki, no. Nikki's not a fan of A Real Man's Man, the old William Regal theme. I loved that theme.
Man.
I absolutely.
He's a man.
I love that theme.
In the video, he's squeezing oranges to make orange juice, and he drinks it.
Sparky,
because he's a real man's man.
Sparky Plug wasn't a very good theme.
Oh, that was bad.
Oh yeah. You're right. That was not.
Oh, the Kerwin White theme. Devin says Chavo Guerrero's gimmick before Eddie died, when he was he was Kerwin White.
He's a man.
Right.
Oh God.
If it wasn't white, it wasn't right. Wasn't that his motto?
Yeah.
Boy, it was bad.
And his
flannel and a hard hat, William Regal.
Just sending it.
My God, what a change of pace from the Blue Blood.
So I know Tim's not the biggest fan, and this is probably the only time I'll ever hear him say anything negative about AJ Lee, but her theme was in my opinion, one of the worst.
Not good.
Not good at all.
Also,
Doesn't fit her either.
Tiffany's theme in Insatiable that they used for like multiple different people. Oh my god! Anytime Insatiable played, Alicia Fox also had a really bad theme too.
Oh, it was just like fast electronic
It
music.
was busy. It was just busy.
I feel like if you could, and I don't know if you can or not, because I'm not a doctor, but if you could have like an epileptic seizure from a song,
that
it was
one.
the Fox theme.
That one.
I mean, we're talking bad themes too. I mean, it's only fair to talk about.
Okay. The song is good, but I have a big water baby.
Oh, I thought it was feeding time.
No, I still have my bowl of food. You missed it.
God damn it.
No, the theme is scandal proof. It's just that really shitty Brie mode in the beginning.
And there's also like the Union had a terrible theme.
Oh yes.
I wasn't a big fan of Test's theme either.
Which one? The first one or?
Yeah.
I feel like that one was very epileptic as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe that was just like a late 90s, early 2000s sort of a thing.
I mean, thinking back, like Attitude Era, there were a lot of like bad themes throughout that time.
Yeah, there was.
How about Rikishi when he turned heel? That was a terrible theme.
I don't
Bad
even know.
Man.
That Bad Man.
Oh yes.
That was.
Yeah, that
bad
wasn't good.
Man.
That was bad, man.
And what's bad is that Rikishi actually rapped that. That's Rikishi's song off of the Originals album.
Yeah.
I'm a bad man. Give
dude,
you bad
that Originals
man.
album.
Bad thoughts.
God, it was awful.
That Originals
Bad Man
is one of the worst. Just the worst. So bad.
Okay, so who all was on that Originals album?
Oh God, we're gonna have to look that up.
WWE Originals. I got it.
Yeah. Let's.
So, Stone Cold Steve Austin had a recurring segment throughout the entire the CD, which was great. We're bypassing that. The Dudley Boys did a remix of their theme called "We've Had Enough."
Okay.
Trish Stratus had a song called "I Just Want You."
Okay.
Rey Mysterio had a song which was also a pay-per-view theme, "Crossing Borders."
Okay.
Booker T had "Can You Dig It," which was good. He actually used that as a theme for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that a couple of weeks.
Kurt Angle had the "I Don't Suck." It's so good. Lillian Garcia had a song. The Guerreros had a song. They did the "We Lie, We Steal, We Lie, We Cheat, We Steal."
Yeah, I cheat and steal. That was good.
I'm out. I don't remember what. There was a Royal Rumble match. It was Umaga and John Cena that you told me to watch last week.
Yeah,
and I did.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned Lillian Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
What year was that? Because
2005, say 5, 6.
How? Oh, maybe it was 06. But Lillian Garcia was like all-time Roll Tide at that point.
I mean, she was scandal proof. Like,
fantastic.
I'm not gonna lie. Jericho had a song, not quite Judas, but "Don't You Wish You Were Me."
Oh, I remember that
which
one.
They ended up using for the YJ Stinger song.
Yeah.
Rikishi had. Oh, sorry. Badman was not on Originals. Rikishi's song was "Put a Little Ass on It."
Oh my!
Which was like a slow jam, and I actually thought that it was a good song at the time.
Salsa.
Yes, JR. Yes. Stacy Keibler had a song called "Why Can't We Just Dance?" And then, of course, the CD was headlined with "Basic Thugonomics."
Okay. So it had a couple of good ones on
There's a
there,
couple of bangers on here for sure.
but there was also a couple of sinkers on there.
In the United States, WWE Originals hit the peak of the Billboard 200. Its top was 12. It
You
was
just
the
made the list.
12th best album.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, what year did that
Boy.
come?
It was released January 13, 2004.
So that was that on the tail end of like the Attitude Era, kind of? Are we still in Attitude Era? I don't know when the Attitude Era officially ended.
I think that would have been Ruthless Aggression.
That would
Oh
have
yeah, 'cause I guess if Cena would have been in there, kind of, you were starting to get ruthless.
the Attitude Era ends, I think, WrestleMania 19,
Okay.
because that's Rock Austin 3.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fine.
But then you could also say WrestleMania 20, because the tagline was "It all begins where it all begins again."
It all begins again.
So-
Okay, so you're kind of Ruthless Aggression at that point, which I mean, wrestling was still fairly popular at that point, so popular enough. I guess you're gonna get that to a number 12 on the album chart. Wow, that is just hard to believe. But yeah, tinyurl.com/3CT Final Four, and it is in the live video comments as well. So make sure you head there and vote by 12 midnight tomorrow night, when Saturday begins. And then look to our social media, 3 Count Thursday, Facebook, Twitter. Over the weekend, we will turn this thing around. We will get the final matchup, the championship matchup, and we will reveal the winner live here on the show next week.
Do it live.
We did have the
3 count question of the week
this week, and I kind of stole this one. My friend and podcast colleague, associate, friend, Ernest DJ Christian. You can find his podcast, the Earnestly Speaking podcast, on all podcast platforms. Tim.
I found the list of albums that were better than originals.
Okay, what do we got?
Okay, so originals came in at 12. In the Zone by Britney Spears was 11. Jay-Z's The Black Album was 10. Evanescence Fallen was 9.
Okay.
Soulful by Ruben Studdard was 8. No Doubt.
What the hell is even that?
The No Doubt singles album from 92 to 03 was 7. Now That's What I Call Music 14 was 6.
What the hell is this?
Josh Groban's Closer was 5.
Ew.
Toby Keith's Shockin' Y'all was 4.
Okay.
3 was The Diary of Alicia Keys by Alicia Keys.
No, I think that one's actually good.
2 is friend of the podcast Sheryl Crow's The Very Best of Sheryl Crow. And number 1 was the Outkast dual album Speaker Box The Love Below.
Okay. All right.
It beat The Long Road by Nickelback, Dangerously in Love by Beyonce, Meteora by Linkin Park.
At least for that at its peak, right? Is that what we're talking? Or
I guess at its peak, yes. It beat great album, Jackpot by Chingy.
What the hell is even that?
The Very
And
Best.
that had the great songs Right There and Holiday Inn. So
This guy gets it.
Matt knows what's up.
Right there.
Right there. All right, and that
Holiday
was for the week of January 31st, 2004. Big Jim, back to you.
Man, all right. So
the 3 count question of the week.
Like I said, Earnestly Speaking podcast. He also has the Take 3 Wrestling podcast. And it's an interesting concept. It's 3 of them. Each of them bring a topic to the table. They discuss it. I think it's for like 15 minutes. They actually set a timer. at least most weeks. And the one guy last week had brought up who was the most successful winner of the King of the Ring, and they kind of did like a quick bracket where like they went around their room and voted like as it went. But I just kind of put the question out there: who is the most successful WWE King of the Ring of all time? So I'll start with you, Matt. We'll go to Matt, Mark, and Tim, and then I'll give mine, and then we'll go to some of the listener responses. But Matt, to you, who is the most successful King of the Ring of all time?
Jesus, I'm trying to think of like. I know you guys really want me to say King Corbin.
And I mean, Shane McMahon never won King of the Ring, so I know this is hard for you.
It is.
Because to me, there's one answer.
No, there's not. It depends. It depends. Here's the question.
So like what? I mean, like how are we judging?
Yeah,
like best.
Is it success after being king, or is it?
That's kind of how I take it.
Okay, then if that's the case,
I mean, there still could be two.
One.
To me, there's one.
Okay, so I mean, to me, it's either Triple H or Stone Cold.
Oh, then there is two, but it's not Stone Cold.
No, what? See, to me, it's open and shut Stone Cold.
Edge.
Really?
Bruh. He's like a 10-time world champion. He's a 10-time tag team champion. Multiple-time Intercontinental champion. King of the Ring. Royal Rumble winner. Stone Cold Steve Austin was never in the greatest wrestling match of all time.
Well, I mean, that's true. That is an undebatable fact.
Edge. If it's not like, Edge, it's Triple H.
Biggest superstar in the history of the company.
Like I feel like
his run
Steve
though.
Austin's King of the Ring like launched Steve Austin.
Right, but also Austin stopped being a thing in 2003.
Right, but do we get Austin 316 without?
Obviously, the answer is no, Jim. He won the King of the Ring and then said Austin 316.
Right. But I mean, like, I don't see another way that we get that. Like I don't think he comes across at any point dropping the Austin 316 in a promo if he's not King of the Ring.
Right, but still, I mean, to say best and then base it on success, like Triple H had like 20 years of dominance after that, pretty much.
Yeah, he has like 14 title reigns. He's had it might be Triple H then.
Damn, see, for
Triple
me,
H, then Edge, then
Stone Cold.
Yeah, and then
like Macho Man.
Yeah, or Brett.
See, I think Brett was already. I think like Brett made the King of the Ring something because Brett was already established.
Well, Brett won two. He won one in 91 and one in 93. His first WWE title was December 92.
Right.
And how established was Brock in 02 when he won his?
He wasn't at all. He was still a rookie monster. He didn't win his first title until he won his first title because he won King of the Ring.
Right.
So he debuted April 2002, wins the King of the Ring by beating Rob Van Dam, then goes on to beat The Rock at SummerSlam, and then wrestles until 2004, and then takes his ball and goes home, tries to play football, gets real punched in the face for a couple of years. And
Very stable and knocks out a couple kids.
Yeah, and like gets diverticulitis, and then comes back, and like first match back decides he wants to catapult himself off a set of ring stairs over the top rope to get to John Cena, And then he calms it down and realizes, hey, if I just slam people and I say suplex city, bitch, I'm going to be the most profitable I've ever been.
Kobe.
Mark, do you want to weigh in?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi there. Most successful.
I was just making sure you were
ring.
still awake.
Oh yeah, I'm still awake. I'm just chilling here. The Kirby the Magnificent Fluffy Dog came in.
Oh.
But the I was thinking Austin, but you guys make a good argument. But I still think I'm going to stick with Austin. But I was also thinking people who actually embraced being the king. I hate to say it, but King Corbin's really embraced the king.
I mean, King
Booker
Booker
T
really
did as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, King Booker.
Owen Hart.
Even as lousy as he was, Owen Hart, King Mabel, as lousy as he was, he really embraced that the title of the king. But
Like,
people
I
like
would
Bret
put-
Hart and
I'd put King. I would
Triple
put
H.
Owen Hart's King as like more successful, more important than Bret's, because like I think Bret was gold with or without the King of the Ring. Like Owen,
yeah, Bret didn't really need that.
But without Bret, the King of the Ring was nothing.
fair, yeah. The King of the Ring was successful because of Bret. Owen Hart, as what we know him as, I think was successful because of the King of the Ring.
Right.
Couple responses here. Nikki says, "All hail King Booker."
Booker.
Ryan says Edge, so he's with you on Team Edge. Charlie on Twitter said King Booker. Ryan had said, not our Ryan, another Ryan, had said Austin. There was a bunch of Austins. There was a couple of Triple H's though, which I hadn't necessarily thought about. There was a Macho Man in there as well. We did get a lot of response. A couple people had Brock. One or two I think had Owen. Nick had agreed with me, since Stone Cold as it launched his career into the stratosphere, and like, so I guess, you know, and I guess too, yeah, it does. It's kind of one of those open-ended things of like, how do you define success? And like, you know, for me, I guess it was just that like Austin became the biggest, arguably the biggest superstar in the history of the business. You know, then you know, and we don't get that without him winning the King of the Ring. So like in terms of like in-ring success and longevity, stuff like that, yeah, obviously Austin's run is not what Edge's was or Triple H's was, or anything like that.
I'm looking through like who the people had to go through to win King of the Ring. Stone Cold was not
wasn't Murderer's Row.
Mark Marrow. He beat Jake Roberts at the finals.
Yeah.
Who did he beat between Mark Marrow and Jake? No one.
No one. Mark Marrow was the semifinal. Jake Roberts was the final. But round one was Bob Holly, and then the quarterfinal was Savio Vega. And actually, in looking at like the other people that we said would be towards the top, that's probably the best one.
In terms of opponents beaten?
In terms of opponents beaten, because Edge had Test, Perry Saturn, Rhino, and Kurt Angle.
Well, I mean, I think beating Angle is pretty solid, but yeah, the rest of that lineup.
Triple H had to go through Crush, Ahmed Johnson, and Mankind.
Okay.
Brock went through Bubba Ray, Booker T, Test, and then RVD. And then Owen went through Doink the Clown, Tatanka, 1, 2, 3 Kid, Razor Ramon. So,
and I think he needed help to beat Razor Ramon. I think that was the big shock of the Owen Hart victory, was Jim Neidhart.
Yep.
And Booker T went through Matt Hardy, Kurt Angle, and then Bobby Lashley at like the hot Bobby Lashley. So
that's not a bad run.
Bob!
Ryan says here in the comments, I think it was such a huge deal for Edge beating Kurt Angle at the time. No one expected it. If not for that, I don't think Edge would be nearly as successful. Nikki said she picked Booker because he was the one who milked it for all it was worth. He made his win look like it was the most important win of his career.
About
I mean, to this day, I
Harley.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say Harley Race should be in there too. Now that I think about it,
Right,
he won a King of the Ring tournament, one of the early ones.
I think I was the first one, I believe. But to this day, I can. When you talk about King Booker, I can still hear Charmel, "All Hail King Booker," just playing on on repeat in my head, because like anytime the promos, it was just like, oh my god. And it made you hate him as King of the Ring. So it is definitely a memorable reign. Whether it's the best is to me arguable. But yeah, I mean, I loved the topic, and I wish, and now, I mean, obviously King Corbin right now is I think taking the victory, and with like the Game of Thrones attire is pretty fantastic. But like I do wish it would mean more. Like even when they brought it back, like it doesn't feel like it really means a whole lot that he won King of the Ring. Like, I mean, I love that he did and he still uses the gimmick, but like did it really lead to anything? Like I wish when they did a King of the Ring, I feel like I wish it would lead to you know, a pick a title to compete for, and maybe Corbin goes, well, I'm going to go to NXT and compete for the NXT championship. Like have some fun with it. Like I just wish there was a little bit more to a King of the Ring victory. Any other thoughts on the King of the Kings, so to speak? Then we had, and I put it out there because I was like, you know what? Well, actually, let's do this first. Let's talk about the TNT title. Obviously the full finished version of the title unveiled last night, but that's not all I want to talk about, because I want to talk about like the matches, the booking of it, and kind of where it's where we think it's going. But first we'll start with the look of the title. Do we like because I know we talked about the original that wasn't finished. Do we like the finished version of the title? Tim?
It sure got spruced up.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the finished product, like if that's what they unveiled first, I'd be more excited about it.
Okay.
But like, we had to see the unfinished title first, and they're still showing us the unfinished title,
right?
Because Mr. Brody Lee has it.
Why does he have that? Like,
because he took John Moxley's title too. He's a possession. He's like, this is the actual title, and Cody has this fake belt that. Yeah.
Weird.
Sure.
Mark, thoughts on the title itself, the design?
Well, I'll tell you what, it kind of is reminiscent of the old WCW or NWA TV title, so I do like it. I like the whole concept of it. It's starting to really starting to feel special, and it's something that you can see each week being defended. So I like it. I'm not a huge fan, but I accept it.
How about you, Matt?
I think it's fine. I don't hate it. It's not over the top or anything, so I can appreciate that portion of it. They didn't try to get fancy with like a green or purple strap. Or red or blue or white, so like just the simplicity of it, I think is.
Hey, Matt.
I think it's fine. And I say that being someone that actually kind of appreciates the colors sometimes. Like I liked the purple on the cruiserweight, like that with the gold, I think looked sharp. So I think like going simplistic was fine, but I think unveiling an unfinished one first was just kind of a mistake to begin with. Don't unveil. Like, how are you gonna have a wrestling company and not have a finished product of a belt ready to go. I just think that was the biggest error. It would be kind of like having your tag team belts and your championship belt being the same belt, and just passing out one of them. But I digress.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I guess I like the finished version better than the original. But
I mean, you gave it the thumbs down gif on the post.
I did. I mean, because like overall, I think it like to me it looks too much like a boxing title. Like to me, like I see that title and I think of boxing. I don't think of wrestling. And I don't know if it's because like a lot of the boxing titles historically had had like a circular feel to it, and like I don't know, the TNT ad is huge.
That it is.
Like it's just, I mean, it's the TNT title. Like I mean, it's the Bad Apple Rotten Core Championship or whatever it was called in KPW. But yeah, it just it's okay. Like it's okay. Like I mean, is it better than some things like the WWE has right now? Yes. But like to me it's not great. Like, and I'm not a fan of the AEW world title, but I like the world title better than that. I think the best AEW titles are the tag titles. I think those are their nicest titles. But in terms of the booking, like obviously, we've seen Cody have matches against AEW talent. We've seen Cody have matches against indie guys, and I still say #Boar for TNT Championship. I will not fade away from that hope and dream if we're still doing kind of the open challenge thing. But like, and this isn't even necessarily an issue I have with the TNT title. I think sometimes it's an issue with the way like AEW books matches in general. Like, and this isn't taking anything away from like Warhorse, but like I feel like that match went longer than it should have. Like at some point, like Cody needs to win a shorter match. AEW needs to have champions win shorter matches to make them look. And I get you're trying to add some prestige to the title and you're trying to give shine to people, whether it's on your own roster or people that come in. But like at some point, like the champion and the championship should look better. If that makes sense.
I think AEW really shot themselves in the foot by not having Scorpio Sky win it this week.
Ding. Where's the damn ding?
Like,
you tell us.
You want me to believe Scorpio Sky is the next guy. He kicks the door down.
Yeah.
And then he goes and has a match with what a couple of my friends like to refer to as the 3-star general, Cody Rhodes. And then he's going to face Brody Lee. Like, at what point Cody has... I've been the biggest... I love Cody. Sure. But Cody Rhodes in AEW is Mr. Doing Too Much. He's got WrestleMania Pyro every week. He had a damn dog.
Well, at least he doesn't come out of the center of the two anymore every week.
This time
Daly's place doesn't have the ability to do that.
Right. I think this time he actually had a third of the capacity of Daly's place walk him to the ring.
Family this week.
He had everyone. Like, if you can't tell that Cody Rhodes is about to turn heel, like, right. he's turning heel. He's doing heel shit. Like, He's got 9,000 people walking into the ring. He's calling himself the Prince of Pro Wrestling.
How many times has Arn Anderson helped him win a match and he's a babyface? like,
I just hurry up and give me the AEW Four Horsemen because everybody knows it's coming.
are they waiting on the heel turn because there's no crowds?
I bet.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that will be a moment that sucks without a crowd, but like,
Can they wait another year?
Right? Like, you know what I mean? No, at some point you have to pull the trigger.
You gotta move on.
You know, and like, and you know, that's why going into WrestleMania, I was afeared that like Brock Lesnar was gonna win because I'm like, are they really gonna pull the trigger on Drew McIntyre, given that we're in an empty building? But they did. Like at some point, you just have to steer into the shit and do what needs to be done. Mark, thoughts on like the way that they're booking Cody and the title?
Yeah, well, I think same thing. Cody's trying to be a little too much. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the moment for that heel turn too. The minute they had him paired with Anderson, you knew it was going to happen. But same thing. I think Scorpio Sky, they really dropped the ball this week with not handing the title to him or letting him win. But yeah, Cody's matches too are a little bit more. They should be a little bit shorter, a little more decisive. They're a little too competitive. That's the word I was trying to think of. A little too competitive, I think, for the most part, week in and week out.
Yeah, and I mean it's okay if Scorpio Sky is competitive, or like, and it shouldn't be a squash match every week either. Like Jason, AEW superfan Jason, says here in the comments, why does Cody have to go to the limit with every person they book him against?
Well, with the open challenge, especially if it's people who are coming from outside of AEW, they have to make the people they're bringing in look like they were deserving to come in. Like Eddie Kingston needed to have a competitive match with
banger of a match,
and it got King signed.
Sure.
And I'm so happy that Eddie Kingston is going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing professional wrestling. Absolutely. Because literally that's what he wants to do. And wrestling is the second best thing he does. Talk is the first. And if they let him just cut promos, just do yourself a favor, go on YouTube and just type in Eddie Kingston promo and just watch.
And have an afternoon.
Any of them.
Yeah.
Especially like, I know Chikara is canceled. But Eddie Kingston's run as Chikara Grand Champion, he did not refer to the title as a thing. He referred to the title as a person. And he called the title her.
Okay.
Like, he is protecting her. He is defending her. And like, it's her. It's not the same, but it's different. But it's just King knows how to emphasize the right things at the right time to get the right result
when it comes to promo.
Yeah, and like I don't know about Warhorse, but like all the others, like Mark Quinn,
there's
Darby Allin.
There's a fine line between making someone look good and overdoing the match. And I think a lot of weeks they overdo the match. Some weeks, like, they get it right. They really pull it off well. The Kingston match. Last night, I thought they really did everything right except for Scorpio Sky not winning the title or not really getting screwed out of the win. Like, if he's clearly the victor, but there was some sort of shenanigans that kept him from actually becoming the TNT champion, then you can get away with him not walking out with the title. But when you lose him clean, it's a little troublesome. Matt, your thoughts?
I mean, my sentiments would echo the ones that have already been said. I mean, it's just the booking here doesn't really make a ton of sense. And I understand why Cody tries to do the thing he does. And I, to an extent, I can appreciate what he's trying to do. It's just at some point there has to be like a limit to it, and I think we're well beyond that. So I mean, he's just got to kind of find the direction and go with it, and I don't think that they've done that yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's I don't want to turn it into like a like shit on AEW segment, but I kind of I have similar issues at times too with their uh with their like the women's division. Not only the amount of time the women get on the show, but like you had your women's champion go up against somebody that Tim, the video disappeared.
I know it's still there. Don't worry.
Okay, there we are.
It's still there.
That against somebody that to I think the broad audience you never even heard of, and the women's champion is struggling for a minute of the 2-minute long match. Like they I think they have to do some things a little bit better.
And that's kind of the issue you run into with like a young company. Like you have to try to establish these people. Like they don't have the luxury of bringing on, indie star Doug to like just get absolutely torched by someone like that. That's not really where they are, and they certainly could employ that, but like they're trying to bring on people who are going to be a part of their roster for a long time. So I get why they're trying to make them appear credible. It's just, like you said, their stars shouldn't be the ones struggling.
Right, like have Penelope Ford in that match against I don't even remember her name at this point. Instead of your AEW Women's Champion. Or instead of booking the match to be 2 minutes long, have it be 8 minutes long and, have, Sheeta's opponent get her offense in, but then have Sheeta look strong in the end. Like, to me, it was like, I mean, the match was, I think, 2 minutes and 11 seconds, and Sheeta legitimately almost got 3-count pin in the match. I'm like, what does that mean for your women's title and your women's champion? Like, it's not a great look. But yeah, I mean, I like that they have a quote unquote TV title. It's something to look forward to every week. I like the open challenge thing. I liked it when WWE did it with the US title. I like that Styles is kind of doing it ish with the Intercontinental title. Like when you're giving me fresh different matches each week, I'm on board for that. Any other thoughts on the TNT title before we move on? I did put out there this week, and it's something we hadn't done in a while. I did an Ask 3CT segment. So if you're following along in the live video, feel free to throw a question in there. We had a couple. I'll start with Devins. He got this one in late. And it's fairly topical in terms of what happened last night on NXT. He said, what are your guys' opinion about the Velveteen Dream returning? Everybody not liking it because of what allegedly went on. I was very surprised to see the Velveteen Dream back on WWE programming. My hope is that if they brought him back, that means that they've done the legal work that they should have done to vet the accusations and see if there was anything there. Again, in the short span of time from when the accusation went out to when he is back on, personally, I'm not a fan. I think it's too quick of a turnaround. I think the situation needs to be addressed more. I'm not necessarily saying you need to fire him, but I think to bring him back and to put him, not only in the match for a qualifying spot in the North American title match, but then now he has the second chance match next week because he wasn't the one that took the fall last night. Not a fan of that decision. Myself. We'll go to Matt. How about you?
So is the question how I feel about Velveteen Dream even being like in the conversation
like-
at this point?
Yeah, like what's our opinion on him returning and with everything that allegedly happened?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. But as more of these stories come out, and we're kind of taking the stance of like we have to kind of listen to the accusers here and nothing being disproven. I think it's in poor taste to kind of have him out at this point. Not to like deny his talent, because I do think he is extremely talented, and it's a shame, to like see someone that you thought was really great, do these kinds of things, and that's putting that lightly. So I'm not necessarily in favor of his return just yet. So it's kind of where I'll just leave that. I don't know that necessarily it's a good idea to build any long storylines around Patrick Clark Velveteen Dream at this point, until we have the answers. And as more things are coming out, it looks like the answer is going to be in the direction that we kind of think anyway.
Tim, how about you?
Someone on my timeline on Twitter kind of hit the nail on the head about it. And to paraphrase, like, I'm not gonna say like he's guilty or he's innocent, but there's a lot of damning evidence out there about the Velveteen Dream. And if any of it becomes true, then this is case in point why people don't speak out.
Yeah.
Because the company that sees money in the character and in the person forgives all sin, makes money, and does not reprimand or admonish or anything the
Right,
person.
like what off TV since in your house? A month.
But to be fair, like Nia Jax was off TV for some time. Shayna Baszler was off TV for some time.
It
like
wasn't even.
You don't know if it was COVID related, where because you don't have anything solid for someone, that because of social distancing, you're writing shorter stories and it's
Right, and I mean
less
that's kind of
flexible.
like there wasn't a there wasn't a clearly defined reason as to why he was it a kayfabe injury? You know what I mean? He just was gone for a month. Like it wasn't anything clearly defined. Like I feel like, to AEW's credit, they at least came out in front and said we suspended Sammy Guevara indefinitely. Turned out it was only about 30 days, but they at least got out in front of it and said this is why you're not seeing this guy. I mean, we didn't see Velveteen Dream. We haven't seen Austin Theory in Seth Rollins' disciple group. But nothing's been spoken. He just disappeared. So like at some point, like here's the thing. If I was a WWE shareholder, I might be a little bit more vocal about like, hey, can we address these things? Like what exactly is going on?
Right. Like it's just tough all around. Like
Sure.
I hope that, there's no fire with all this smoke and it's just a smoke machine.
Yeah.
Um
That's the hope.
but history, at least recent history, has told us it's not just a fireless smoke. Like
Right.
there's
A lot of
something there. Like whether it was innocent or if it's mistaken identity, if it's somebody who's playing as Velveteen Dream. I mean, you also have to think too, like I don't want to like validate anything, but you may want to also look at the timeline for Velveteen Dream. He is relatively young. So like if he's like 19 when he's doing some of this stuff, while it is illegal, you can see where a 19-year-old might talk to a 16 or 17-year-old because the age gap isn't as big.
Right.
Like the difference between a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old is the same as a 30-year-old and a 27-year-old.
Right.
It's
And it's
just
not justifying and
right. I'm not trying, by no
illegal.
means am I trying to justify it and like anything like that. I'm trying to look into the psyche of a 19-year-old
Right.
young adult, like new full adult man,
Right.
who's got all this stardom.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you don't know how people's brains work,
Right.
and
You went from being like dude on an indie show
to like
Maryland to on Tough Enough, airing after Monday Night Raw.
right.
You're back on the indie circuit where people now know you.
Well, if you're being honest, his stardom went being on an indie in Maryland, being on Tough Enough, being on the podcast of the Millennium 3 Count Thursday.
Well, that's true.
Then NXT. Like that's
Right.
the order, okay? But I just I don't want to speak for him. Like now I'm sure that like people change. Like I'm not saying he's very roughly does a person stay the same when you're talking multiple years difference? Like people learn, people grow, people change. And I hope that if any of this stuff with Velveteen Dream is true, he's remorseful, he's learned. I'm not the biggest fan of cancel culture. Like I think that's a bit extreme. I think you hold people accountable and let them change, and if they don't change, then cancel. Like Hulk Hogan right now is on 0 strikes. If he comes out and he says another terse word to literally anyone,
yeah,
HH is gone, brother. Like that's where it is. And but some people have already shown him to the door, and I don't blame them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like individuals versus broad spectrum too, in terms of, like I'll never discredit anybody for writing somebody off for something that they have done or allegedly done or what have you. Like, but again, the cancel culture becomes a whole separate topic when it's an initial thing. That's why I said, like, I don't necessarily think that Velveteen Dream should be fired, but to bring him back in relatively quick turnaround is what I thought was not necessarily the smartest move. Mark, your thoughts on the question here from Devin.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was probably shocked as anybody to see him back in a prominent position. And the only thing I can think of, WWE must have some kind of, or be extremely confident in his innocence. I can't understand any way, shape, or form why they put him number one back on television, number two in such a prominent role, when you literally have dozens of other superstars you could slide in that spot if they didn't feel pretty confident that he was going to be get through any kind of charges or accusations that are being thrown at him. That just doesn't make any kind of sense. It's not like they're short on superstars. And then again, I mean, if you think back to the '80s when Vince McMahon looks like he pretty much helped Jimmy Snuka get away with murder. So it's hard to say. It not out of the realm of possibility that WWE's not just going to kind of help him get out of this.
Yeah, I mean, Dream's not the only one they're really turning a blind eye to, bro. So, they're just it's unfortunate. Like we've kind of mentioned that throughout the decades that WWE unfortunately has this stigma around them that they just turn that blind eye to a lot of horrible shit. It's just a little more prevalent now because we're in the age of social media.
And we're older.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
stuff,
true too.
Stuff that didn't bother us when we were kids bothers us now. Like,
I mean,
we've talked. It's been a podcast topic here before. Yeah. Like when I came out and said I'm really struggling being like a rose-colored glasses WWE fan because more and more of the shady-ish that Vince McMahon and the WWE get involved in, it just wears on me, and I feel like I'm a couple years away from just being like, I'll watch the indies, I'll watch AEW until
I'll watch Dark Side of the Ring and relive all this stuff that I used to like.
Yeah, like AEW until something happens with them, and like Impact. Let's push Impact. Like I don't know what to do, but like it's just
and I mean, and I know today somebody had noted that AEW has removed like Jimmy Havoc and B Priestley, and I think there was one more,
Sadie Gibbs
from their roster, and I'm like, okay, I mean that's good. I mean, if they're doing that because of accusations, but in the same time, are you going to do it quietly? Or are you gonna...
I don't think it's accusations. I think that
again, I'm
saying in the instance of B Priestley, it is to an extent.
Well, I think she was just a backstage nuisance, and like she was a backstage nuisance. Jimmy Havoc has his demons. I think didn't they send him to rehab or something?
Yeah, they sent him to rehab, but like
they're together. So I understand you get rid of one and keep the other. That's weird. And I think Sadie Gibbs is just a case of they had nothing for her.
Sure.
Let her go.
But like, are you gonna like? I don't like just doing it quietly. Like if you're gonna like, and maybe they have put out a real. I haven't looked, but like,
they're not a public company though.
Well, I mean that's fair.
Like
that's
WWE has to, because there's shareholders.
Well, that's a great point. That's a great point. All right, we had a couple other questions. Nick asked, "Do you think the Randy Orton Ric Flair angle was a swerve for SummerSlam, where we could see a new champ?" Somebody else brought this up either on Facebook or Twitter, and I guess they're saying like because the lights went out, that Orton didn't actually kick Flair, and that like it was to get sympathy on Drew McIntyre feeling bad for Rick, and there it's a big swerve where Rick will end up turning on Drew so Orton will win the title. Could it be? Okay, sure. Do I think it is? Absolutely not. Like I think it was the continuity of the Retribution thing and the lights and the mics and all of that stuff. And also, I think it's so you don't actually punt Ric Flair in the head. Like,
where's that ding button? Where's
where's my ding at? Where's my ding at?
Dang.
Give yourself a Kobe too there, because I mean,
like
that's a big Kobe right there.
Kobe.
Like, I and I give people credit for having some creative thought and looking out, but you're not gonna punt Ric Flair, like, because my thought is the whole time I thought there's no way he's giving Ric Flair an RKO, right? I'm like, because I feel like that fall could be very bad for Ric Flair.
They were so gentle with Rick.
I know.
Like it was so like
that segment was so. That segment was so good. So good. Like Ryan is like borderline an admitted Randy Orton fan. I'm a Randy Orton 2020 fan.
This ain't blasphemy. Like I don't want to speak out of turn, and I don't want to like carry gimmicks from my other podcast to here. But like,
go ahead and say it because I think I tweeted what you're about to say.
Randy Orton's the greatest of all time.
Okay, I didn't tweet that.
Like Randy Orton, if you look at his body of work, if you look at his matches, if you look at how he's mastered the in-ring WWE segment, his focus over the last 5-6 years, probably since at least when he cashed in Money in the Bank on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam 13. From then till now, there's like nobody who does it better than Randy Orton. And he does it with multiple different people. Think of what he did with Aiden English. Think of what he did with we were clamoring for Randy Orton to get paired up with Angel Garza and Andrade because of one 6-man tag match where Randy Orton pins Angel Garza against the wall and basically like deliverances him. Is that like what happened? Like he's like, shut
Damn, I
up.
don't have a squeal button.
Shut up. And like, but at the same point, like Randy Orton has been on fire lately.
I mean, I tweeted out on Monday, and I've tweeted out before, but like, and this is where I thought you were going because your other podcast, 2020 Randy Orton is forever in the Good Place.
Oh, Good Place Hall of Fame. It's already in.
Without question.
We got like 5 more months and it's in the Good Place already.
Yeah,
he's working on kicking Kevin Nash out of door service at the Good Place. Like Kevin Nash is the doorman to the Good Place.
Okay.
And if you don't know, Ron and Don Harris are the doormen for the Bad Place.
Okay.
Noted racist.
Yeah.
Klansmen.
Bad news.
Bad news Harris boys. But yeah, Randy Orton is just scandal proof. Now, I'm bringing a conversation from my text chat with my other boys to hear. On a scale of, and the listening audience at home, you can chime in too in the chat. But Randy Orton low blows Rick and punts him. Percentage that the person who comes to the aid of Ric Flair to go head to head with Randy Orton is Charlotte Flair.
Oh.
Percentage that happens?
Yes.
0.
I'll give it 18 and a half.
22%.
18% for the number of minutes.
Mark.
The percentage of it happening?
The percentage that the person who defends Ric Flair's honor is Charlotte Flair. Not saying we get Charlotte Flair versus Randy Orton in a match, but Charlotte Flair and Randy Orton having a face-to-face confrontation that will lead to Charlotte Flair eating an RKO.
I'll bump that up to like.
Boy, I'd give that. I'll give it a 30% chance. I'd like to see it. Why not?
I'll still put 0, but I like the intention behind that. It's not far off. I just don't think they would go that route right now.
Right, especially with everything going on with like the buzzword intergender wrestling.
Yeah.
And this,
I think it would be great. It would be fantastic storytelling.
It would be probably the best WWE match in the last 20 years.
I'll say this: I would love to see it. I just don't like. Vince has been so standoffish with that type of thing so many times that to do it in this instance with Charlotte and with Randy, like that's going 0 to 60 for Vince, and Vince seems like more of a slowly put your foot down on the gas pedal type of guy, and then like hit the
Being
brake.
that like 80 years old, Matt. That's pretty fucking rude. um, see, I would have agreed with you a little bit more, and Devin says he gives it about a 20%. I'll bump it up to like a 35-40 for a face-to-face with a potential RKO. It leading to an actual match, I would put somewhere around like 10. But like, I think the Bray, the Fiend, and Alexa, the thing that apparently twisted Tim's nipples a couple weeks ago on SmackDown when Bray stuffed his fingers down her throat.
But wait, more happened.
Yeah, and then last week that was
Touch my face.
Yeah, like, touch my face. Tell me I'm pretty.
Paint me like one of your French boys, Alexa.
Didn't see that coming last week on SmackDown, but like Bray even doing that, and we're talking that's Fox broadcast. That's not even Monday Night Raw cable. I think the potential for something like that is a little more viable. Like I think, and I'm not going down the Meltz Alvarez road and talking about ratings and what they ultimately mean, but when you see things like what Retribution is, and when you see things like Raw Underground, it's evident, and you see things like The Fiend attacking Alexa Bliss, and then they're teasing all day what's going to happen between them. Tomorrow night on SmackDown, Alexa Bliss is going to address the situation. Like it's evident that they're Alexa, stop. Bitch.
Alexa, play Despacito.
Like I think that it's evident that they are trying to do some things to move the needle a bit. So I think if you have that moment, it's going to get attention, and I think it is going to draw people in. Whether, and again, I don't think they eventually get to a match, but that a face-to-face where Orton hits that RKO, that's YouTube hits, that's social media hits, etc.
I don't think that Randy's the guy they do that with. Like Bray the Fiend, that makes more sense. That seems a little safer for them to go that route. And like 5 years ago, Randy Orton, they'd probably be more likely to do that. But like Randy now, 2020 Randy, like I'm not gonna go full JBL like Tim did with Randy Orton, but he is having a very good run right now, and like I don't think that they use that moment at this point.
I mean, you also have to think though, in 2020, Randy Orton has already RKO'd WWE Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix for what he did to Edge. So and Randy Orton, of any wrestler in WWE history, to my knowledge, he's RKO'd Stephanie McMahon multiple times. He's forcibly kissed an unconscious Stephanie McMahon in the face of a handcuffed Triple H. I think he RKO'd the Fabulous Moolah into the grave. But like, if anyone, like, aside from Bubba Dudley, nobody's put their hands on a woman more than Randy Orton.
Steve Austin has. I mean, he is.
On camera.
No, I wasn't even going with that joke. I was saying he has stunned every woman in the McMahon family.
That's true. He did get Linda, and he got Stephanie. He didn't get Aurora Rose yet. Aurora's not old enough.
She's on his list.
Wait for those Hunter girls to get older. How's your neck?
That'll be Raw 35 when that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, intern Mark, your thoughts on the Randy Orton, the Ric Flair. Is it an angle, or were they just protecting Rick from getting severely injured?
I think they're just protecting Rick. I didn't understand him pairing up with Orton. Orton really doesn't need Ric Flair. He doesn't need anybody at this point in his career. He's a made man. Yeah, I think it was totally protecting Rick. Even if he shows up, Rick shows up with McIntyre, I'd really be surprised. I think he's just kind of written out off TV for now.
Okay, AEW, I guess, and thank you, Nick, for giving us this one. Has officially released Jimmy Havoc, B. Priestley, Gibbs. Sadie Gibbs have also confirmed her departure on Twitter. So those three are now official.
And T-Hawk, I think T-Hawk is a member of the Strong Hearts.
Okay.
With was Shima, T-Hawk, and another dude that's probably gonna get released.
Who's the other dude?
Because there's 3 dudes in the Strong Hearts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just trying to find. I was trying to find like an actual like a news release. And all of them are just none of the ones that I'm seeing, even from AEW employee Dave Meltzer, has the Wrestling Observer only has Havoc, Priestley, and Gibbs. It doesn't say anything about T-Hawk on those. Not saying that it's not a thing, but like I said, those are the 3 that I guess have officially been confirmed per Meltzer. So, and then one other question. Charlie asked, "How did everyone meet, and how did the pod get started? Who in the group said, 'Hey, I got an ideal'?" Well, what, 6.5 years ago or something, I started doing a sports podcast, and Matt and Ryan would both help me co-host. I've known Matt and Ryan for well over 2 decades. We went to school together. And I think Ryan met Mark and Tim via work, correct? So
that is correct.
So Ryan and Matt and I had noticed, like, on my sports podcast, we would do wrestling shows around like Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and I noticed that like those got a few more clicks at the time. So I was like, "Hey guys, got an ideal. Why don't we just spin this off and do a wrestling show, and I'll still do the sports show?" And then Ryan and I, Ryan's favorite faction of all time is 3 Count. Like, I assume legitimately, or at least jokingly, sometimes we can't tell with him. So we were sitting at the diner one night, like 2 a.m, and he's like, 3 Count Thursday. And I was like, there we go. So it was just the 3 of us for a while. And then, we needed an intern to clean up the studio and those sort of things. And Ryan knew intern Mark. And so he added him into the mix. And Tim was a former guest of the show, because you did commentary for Excellence and other things. And then after a while, we just kind of started hanging out at indie shows and whatnot. And it was like, hey man, if you want to be part of the family, just start showing up at the studio on Thursday nights. I think that about covers it.
I think that's right.
That's the short version. And 6.5 years later, we're still pumping away.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like, this was a well-oiled machine before we even got on, but I think, or at least we, meaning Mark and I. But I mean, we posted it not too long ago. 6.5 years strong, ain't no signs of stopping.
Yeah.
Zoom be damned trying to not let us get on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I actually like this setup. I may work with Big Jim off the air to kind of spruce this up, because now that we've got it set up for this, I can do fun screen transitions and other stuff, and we can do graphics. Like, I just whipped this one up not too long ago. Bye-yow. So when we go off the air, we got all the socials and stuff on the screen, and everything's there. But
about that.
But that's not what we're doing right now.
Yeah, no, and I'm all for it, because like I know, like I was looking into like StreamYard versus Zoom, and like, but if we can do it through whatever the hell you're doing over there,
yeah,
then I'm all for it, man. But yeah, we worked with what it gave us tonight, and we've taken a couple weeks off here and there. We've thrown up some best ofs and whatnot when I moved from one studio to another, and and things like that. But in the same, oh, there's the graphic. Look at that. That's awesome. Gotta love that. But the bottom line is, through good times, through bad times, we're here. We try and be as positive as we can. There's a lot of some of the best in the game that have arrived and left in the time that we've still been here. So I appreciate the question, Charlie. I like these Ask 3CT segments. So maybe we'll try and throw one once a month and just see what people have on their mind. And just a couple things here before we wrap up. We don't necessarily need to do a deep dive, but thoughts on the whole retribution angle. I liked it the first week, and I liked what they did at the end of SmackDown. I felt like Monday on Raw, they kind of took a awkward step backwards, because okay, so you threw a brick through a window, and then another brick through an already broken window, and then you just ran away. Why did you break the window? You didn't enter the building, so you just broke a window, and then you flipped over a car for what reason? It just I'm still curious to see where it goes. I haven't written it off, but they took a step back on Raw on Monday after what happened on SmackDown last Friday night. But so I'm intrigued, but I've cooled off a little bit on my enthusiasm for Retribution. Tim.
I don't care. There's nothing about them that makes me think that anyone in this Retribution group is anything other than something that's gonna get forgotten. They just look like a bunch of hooligans. They're throwing Molotov cocktails at stuff and throwing cinder blocks at stuff.
What is this, Grand Theft Auto?
What are they, celebrating a Stanley Cup? What is going on here? They're right. Okay, cool. And you partner that with I think WWE took a big step back in their other thing too, Raw Underground. Raw Underground was very weak this week.
Yeah, I mean,
Shayna Baszler beat up 3 chicks, and that's it. No follow up with the Hurt Business at all.
That was a little odd, but
and
they
then,
took away the awkward go-go dancers, which
But then Liv Morgan wants them back.
Well,
are you gonna say no to Liv Morgan? I dare you. I dare you. No, you.
Oh, me? No, yeah. I will not. I will not.
That's right. You're
Absolutely
smart. You're a smart man. But yeah, just I don't know. More to come? Question mark? Exclamation point?
Like
asterisk?
I said,
I don't know.
I'm curious to see where it ends up, if it ends up anywhere. But I definitely cooled off. Nikki says she likes that they have females in the group, which that's
no. I mean that's absolutely cool. I'm curious to see who's in the group. That's my curiosity.
Right. Who is it? And you have to answer that question at some point.
And they better not bait and switch it with some other people.
Matt, any thoughts?
No.
All right.
Perfect.
Mark, how about you?
Well, yeah, same thing you guys already said. I kind of seemed a little awkward this past week, but they started out hot. It kind of almost reminded me of how Nexus came in. So we'll see what happens. And I enjoyed that little tweet from that little hint of a tweet that CM Punk put out about Retribution. So we'll see what happens. I don't have high hopes that Punk's part of the group, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, especially this year. Dude, if Punk ultimately ends up being one of them, whether it's a leader of the group or that would be cool. I don't see it happening. But it would be cool nonetheless. Tomorrow night on SmackDown, triple brand battle royal to determine the number 1 contender for Bayley's SmackDown Women's title at SummerSlam. Any thoughts on who you guys think it might be, or who you want to see win that spot? Mark?
Boy, the triple threat. I don't even know who all's in it, to be honest with you.
Oh, it's just they haven't announced anybody. It's just people. There's going to be women from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in it.
Boy, I'll tell you. Let me think here. Maybe somebody out of NXT would be. I'd be all right with that. Actually, you know what? I'll go with. I'd really like to see Shotzi, just because I'm wearing her shirt and I'm a big fan. But it's probably a little too early for her yet. Maybe Ripley, possibly.
That's who I thought. Because I feel like not necessarily that she's floundering in NXT, but they're definitely making an effort to push other women on that roster, and this feels like a perfect time to launch her up. And she's obviously legitimate enough to win a battle royal. So, I say full system go on that. Matt, how about you?
Let's give that to Bianca Belair.
Oh, nice. Tim, how about you?
I'm gonna say Naomi.
Okay, I like it. Nikki has Mia Yim. I think she's still more fitted for NXT, especially that they've acknowledged that her and Keith Lee are together. So like,
Hey, Jim, I mean, she fake slept through a car ride with you, and you've had a vendetta ever since.
I take as much responsibility for being a socially awkward human being on that one as anybody. Devin has Mandy Rose. Soccer mom of the year, Mandy Rose, by the way.
Did you see the little thing on Twitter
I don't
with
know.
Bailey?
No, I didn't.
So apparently Bailey posted a video calling out Mandy Rose, saying, "Oh, you want to steal my haircut? Maybe I steal something of yours." And she pans the camera, and it's Otis doing curls, and Bailey squeezing on Otis's arm.
Nice. I like that. Charlie says Dakota or Tegan he'd like to see. So, yeah, be curious to see what direction they go tomorrow night on SmackDown. Just a couple of news items here, and then we're going to close this thing up and get out of here. A lot of reports this afternoon. It obviously has not yet been confirmed by WWE, but planning on holding SummerSlam and apparently all live TV moving forward, going back to live for all their TV at the Amway Center in Orlando. That is, of course, home of the Orlando Magic. WWE production trucks are scheduled to arrive on Friday, begin setting things up. Obviously, COVID testing will take place. No word on if TakeOver or the post SummerSlam Raw. This was earlier today. No word on the post SummerSlam Raw or SmackDown TV tapings will take place, but now it sounds like that is going to be the thing. Like this Monday's Raw, I believe, is already in the can, but then starting next Friday night with SmackDown, it looks like things are going to be live from the Amway Center. Still no fans, but we'll see if they do kind of the AEW model where it's friends and family / workers and socially distant to at least have some sort of fan presence. Because I feel like, a completely empty arena would feel. We've seen it, Mankind versus The Rock. But thoughts on Summer? Here's the thing: am I a little disappointed it's not on a beach or a boat? And I know, Tim, you're big mad, but if it's only SummerSlam that's here and not TV moving forward, I'm happy that it's different than what we're used to seeing Monday and Friday and other pay-per-views. I would have preferred a boat or a beach for SummerSlam, but I'll take an arena with staging and pyro and whatnot. Tim, I'll give it to you because I know you're big mad.
Live TV, absolutely great, except for NXT. Keep NXT at the Performance Center. Make it look different because that's what worked last time.
Wholesale, right?
Well, no, NXT's taping at the Performance Center too, I thought.
No, I thought they were still at Full Sail.
Did they move to Full Sail?
They have, yeah, because they have the video board above the ring still. So I think they've been at.
So either way, don't put them with Raw and SmackDown. Have them be different. Live tapings for Raw and SmackDown at the Amway Center. SummerSlam at the Amway Arena? Absolutely not. Put it on a damn boat. Give me something. Bring a boat to the Amway Arena or wherever. Bring it to the Amway. Put the boat in the stadium or the arena and then do stuff in the arena. Okay? If that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. Give me a boat. Thank you. SummerSlam. Boat me.
Matt, boat me. Matt, how about you?
I mean, I guess it was expected. You know, my dream of seeing SummerSlam in front of Cinderella's castle at Disney World will have to, you know, stretch on for one more year. But you know, it is what it is at this point, you know. Fucking 2020.
Mark.
Well, you know what? I'm looking forward to something different. I'll be honest with you. So yeah, it'll be nice to have it in a different arena. You know, still disappointed there won't be any or large amount of fans there, but I mean that's to be expected. So, but yeah, looking forward to just a little bit of different scenery. We'll see what happens. I don't have very high expectations, so hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised.
SummerSlam 2021 at Roots Market.
Hey, now you're talking. That would get a crowd too. I'll tell you what, masks would be optional.
Very optional, probably. This one I just I grabbed because it was pretty funny. Lana took to Instagram yesterday and claimed to have sex with Rusev on the tank from the WrestleMania 31 entrance. She wrote, "We just had sex in the black seat. They are vacationing currently." And she said, "And on the tank at WrestleMania." Ryan Satin tweeted in November 2019 that Rusev, quote, apparently tried to have sex with Lana in the tank. Rusev responded and said, "Tried?" question mark. And apparently the post has been taken down.
Yeah, it was reported on Instagram for nudity or sexual content. And of course Lana was being a little extra with what she was saying,
but yeah, I found that
Rusev
to be
getting banned on Twitter, Lana getting stuff pulled down on Instagram. They're troublesome people.
Yeah, they are.
They're very problematic.
Come in my face.
And then finally, I posted this on our pages earlier. WWE announced today that independent content is finally coming to the WWE Network. Content from Evolve, Progress Wrestling, WXW, and ICW will appear on the WWE Network starting this Saturday. The first offerings from Evolve, which WWE recently purchased, will focus on WWE NXT champion Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre. The best of Drew McIntyre. WXW content being added includes Femme Fatale's 2019 Ambition 11 Progress Chapter 92 and Insane Championship Wrestling's Who's Party 5 Night 2 will be available. So it's good to see them finally getting some of that indie content that we've heard rumored for a while up on the network. So another reason to subscribe to said network. Anything else, guys?
Award-winning network.
Yes, sorry, my bad. The award-winning WWE network. Lest I forget. My goodness, what am I doing?
Slipping, Big Jim. It's all right. That's why we're here.
Yeah, it's been a week. Matt or anybody else, anything to add? Nope. Let's then go ahead and Matt, let people know. Was there a Woman of the Week this week?
Not this week. We took a week off. We will be back on Sunday. But in the meantime, there are still more Mad Libs up for your viewing pleasure. Just put up one up today with Candice Cordelia. A couple more coming next week. So in lieu of interviews, we're just kind of keeping it short and sweet. 4 to 5 minute video for you guys to check out on YouTube, 1 or 2 of them a week. You can follow me on Twitter. It's at 3CT, the letter A, Philly, as in Philadelphia, the number 8, so 3CT affiliate. Probably just have like a week, maybe 2, of me complaining about the Sixers before they get eliminated from the playoffs. And I've kind of given up complaining about the Phillies because they've given up on themselves. So really just kind of the Flyers at this point, and I don't really like get too heated about that. So you're kind of safe until college football season starts, if it does.
If it does.
From Matt complaining on Twitter about shit. So who knows? We'll keep you guys updated. We do still plan to do the 3 Count Thursday watch along with the Boy Meets World episode featuring everyone's favorite wrestler, the lovable Vader. So that will be coming on at some point. We'll try to do some more. Maybe I'll throw like a movie review up. Maybe I'll watch the Marine 5 or 6 in a coming weekend and give you like a short 30-second review, letting you know what you all missed by not watching it.
Very good. Tim, how about you?
As always, you can find me on social media at Not the Toolman across all platforms. Yeah, it's Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat if you care. You can find me on twitch.tv/Not the Toolman. When I do stream, should be starting back up soon. I say that all the time. Be sure to there's still wrestling going on. Wrestling's more and more coming out every day, which is really awesome. If you want to follow really good independent wrestling, I don't talk about it enough, but independentwrestling.tv, they're actually partnered with SmartMark Video now. So independent wrestling that's going on, give it a look and see what's going on with that. And if you want other wrestling content that may be a little more retro in your stylings, Final Wrestling Place is a podcast I do with my best friend Marcus. We drop Mondays at midnight, like a quick hour and a half deal. We talk about where the things in the history of professional wrestling end up, whether it's in the good place or the bad place. We close out our SummerSlam season this weekend. So thank you as always, Big Jim.
Insert Mark, what about you?
Hey, you can find me on Twitter, 3 Count Intern Mark or Intern Mark. Or I'm on Twitter. You'll find me. If you want to know the national days, I put them up there every once in a while. So it's a good time.
All right, and I just want to say there was some people, listeners of the show, that reached out to me. My family, we lost my grandma yesterday. So today was hard, and I needed this. It's been a good distraction to put my brain to it. She was one of the most special people I've ever known. So for those who reached out to me, I appreciate it. It means more than you'll know that in the 6 years that we've done this, that there are people that look forward to and listen to and actually care about us. So your words meant a lot to me and my family. But you can follow me at Big Jim Sports, but make sure you're following along with the show at 3 Count Thursday, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find everything 3countthursday.com. And our home network, of course, is NGSE at ngscsports.com. Until next week, guys, please stay safe, stay smart. Tell the people that are in your life that you love them. It's so important. So do that. And until next week, we'll talk to you then.